All right, everybody, welcome to the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Harding, and today we have a special guest, Justin Hutchins. He is the broker owner of the Legacy Group. And a little bit more about him. He was, so Daily Herald does a best of every year for different areas and stuff like that. Last year, 2021, he was the best agent, which is, hey, that's a big deal. You know,
it was a big deal. Thank you.
And I think also top 250 as far as in the state, right? As far as realtors go?
Yeah, the Utah Central Association did a release of the top 250 and within that group, and so I was honored to be a part of that.
It's awesome.
Very cool.
Okay. So obviously real estate's not something that he's just jumping into. This guy's been a part of it for a long time. Let's start, Justin. I guess obviously just getting to know you. You know, so who's Justin?
Okay.
You know, who are you? You know, as far as like a person and stuff like that.
Who am I?
Yeah.
An existential question.
That's right.
I first and foremost am a husband and a dad, and those are my favorite things in the whole world.
Love it.
My wife and I have been married this August for 17 years.
Okay. Good
and we've got 4 kiddos. Our only daughter's 13, and then we've got 3 boys that are 10, 8, and 3.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's as good as life gets.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
I agree. So, you're at a sweet spot where nobody's in diapers.
No.
Right?
We just finished potty training a 3-year-old.
Okay.
So yes.
Yeah, you're now.
And then our teenager's not quite so teeny.
That's
right.
That's right.
She's teeny, but not.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So
that's
awesome.
Good. Okay. Well, so then tell us about real estate. I mean, obviously you've been doing real estate for. Well, first of all, how long?
Been in real estate about 8 years.
Okay, so good amount of time.
It's been good because I actually was able to get in kind of a normal market.
Yeah.
That's true. So we'll probably talk about that later. But always had an interest. Maybe it's because I moved a ton growing up.
Sure.
My family moved all over the place. My dad as his career advanced and stuff, we moved a lot. Mostly in California. Yeah. Between southern and northern, but. I was born in American Fork. Okay. So came back to my roots.
Local boy, yep.
Came back up for college and played volleyball. So that was my identity. I played volleyball in high school and club, and then got to play in college as well. And that's what brought me to Utah, because I came up here to do that. And
where'd you go to college at?
So I graduated from UVU.
Okay, nice.
Got a bachelor's degree in behavioral science. So. As my clients need psychology help, you know. Just kidding.
Which happens a lot.
I'm probably the one that needs a therapist the most.
You know, well, I mean, hey, buying a home's a big deal, right? So
for sure. It's not stressful at all.
Not stressful at all. So actually, it's probably a good degree for that.
Not taxing on marriages.
No. I've seen a couple of marriages break up because of it.
Oh, shoot.
Well, good. Well, okay. So obviously, you enjoy real estate. You've been doing it for a little while.
Yep.
So you recently, well, I don't know how recent, I guess. How recent have you started your own company?
Like I said, I got started about 8 years ago in real estate, and before that I was a college volleyball coach.
Okay.
So I coached at UVU, coached at BYU, did a stint in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly, and then Fresno State was my last stop in the college coaching world. And I'd had a friend that helped us actually buy a townhome in 2006. Okay. Best time ever to buy a house.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we became really good friends with him. He was the agent that was in the model, and our families got really close. Okay. And as I was going down that coaching path, just realizing with a young family, moving really often, grinding. I was gone all the time. In season, I was gone. Off season, I'm recruiting and coaching clubs. Summers, I'm doing camps all over the country. Yep. Super fun, but not ideal for family life.
Sure.
And so he'd always told me from the day I'd met this agent, Dave Maltby is his name. He's now with Summit Sotheby's. Okay. He said, hey, if you ever want to get in real estate, I think you do really well, and I'll mentor you. So I called him when we were in California and said, hey, if I move back to Utah, we still owned our townhome in PG, and would you still be interested in kind of showing me the ropes? And he was like, absolutely.
Nice.
So super cool. And he was with a small independent brokerage out of Mapleton. The broker took a chance on me as well. Kind of. In fact, he even said when I first met with him, I think you're too nice. you're probably not going to be successful in this business. Like, I'd never met him before. It's okay. I didn't get too offended. But
Sure.
He's like, eh. So Dave luckily took me under his wing and really showed me the ropes. And I remember being on calls with him. Hey, the agent said this. What do I say? Okay. All right, they said this back. And
Gotcha.
it was great to have a mentor and somebody I could really turn to. And so he's really the one that to his credit, kind of helped me to build that business and tap into being successful with people I already knew from volleyball.
Sure.
So also here, when I was coaching college, I was running a club or travel team, and we had 200 kids cycle in and out of that every year, parents, things like that, and had a really successful program. And so I just kind of called everybody I knew and said, hey, the same passion, energy, expertise I put into coaching, I'm transferring to real estate now, and hope you'll consider me to help out when the time comes. And that's been awesome.
Good.
It's really been cool to work with people I already know and that they trust me.
They already trust you from something else. They're like, hey, he still trusts, which
Cool.
that trustworthiness does transfer over. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, I trust you. Because you say the guy said you're too nice. Part of me's thinking like, that's actually, I would think that would be considered a good trait as far as like, something that would stand out and say, hey, okay, that means I'm trustworthy.
You would hope. Yeah. Maybe you thought that I'm maybe too soft, not a good negotiator or something like that. But
and I guess you could make an argument that way, but like, no, really, I think just being a quality guy does add something, I guess.
I hope so. I like to think, and I'm not perfect by any means,
of course,
but those relationships mean a lot that they would trust me. Yeah. I just closed on one this morning with a buddy from when I served as a missionary for my church 25 years ago.
Yeah, wow, nice.
You know? Yeah. And those relationships, those long-term things are huge. Yeah. That people would call me and think of me to help out.
Love that. And so how many are on your team now?
So I've got 3 total. I've got Marcy Stevens, Kenton Gully, and Ashley Carlson that's up in Davis County. Okay. And they're awesome. I've been growing more organically because to me it's about that personality fit and things like that more than anything. Keeping a culture. Are
you truly like a team where you kind of work together, or is it kind of like, hey, they're just agents under your umbrella?
I'm more of a mentor, resource. Sure. And so I want to teach them how to act within their own sphere and tap into those relationships they already have, like I've done. To be honest, I probably wouldn't be a good coach with cold calling or door knocking. Sure. I haven't done that. Sure. And so, but I can help people to kind of tap in and show their value and things like that. And so that's the value I bring to my agents that work with me. So, and has your team been successful? And I guess if so, what do you think is driving that success? We've been really blessed and successful with, especially as of late. The agents are all relatively new, as in the last 3 years. Okay. And so it's fun to see them grow and get out of their comfort zone a little bit. And maybe that's the coaching in me. Sure. Like, hey, this is the game plan, and here's how we're going to help you succeed and things like that. And so, especially lately, they've gotten a lot more business and closings, and especially from, again, their own sphere, which is awesome. That is good. Especially now with the market starting to, it's not as hot as it was. Right. Things are a little bit harder. You got to work a little bit more. Yeah, you got to work, and I think skill set is crucial, especially as the market shifts. Yeah. I was just talking to another broker, which has been awesome. This industry is great with knowledge sharing and things like that. Yeah. Just talking to another broker the other day, and he even brought up the analogy that a lot of agents who've just gotten into it are like a college athletic team that have been competing against rec teams like from the YMCA. Sure. And so this market's really going to go, okay, now here's the other collegiate level team. Yeah. Let's see where your chops really lie. And so I thought that was pretty good, because I think it's the skill set that's really going to set these agents apart in this market. I 100% agree with that. That's the benefit of a market like this is now all of a sudden it takes a little work to sell a home. Yeah. Right? You've got to know how to market. You've got to know how to price. You've got to know how to drum up interest and buyers and on the buyer side be able to negotiate now and be able to see what you can get for your clients on either side. Yeah. So perfect. It'll be good. Well, okay, so talking about the industry and stuff like that, what are you continuously learning in this industry? Obviously,
things are changing all the time. So what would you say you're learning right now, I guess?
It's interesting you brought up learning. I always want to make sure that I'm learning. I don't want to feel like I know everything. And having a growth mindset is crucial, I think, in any business. We talked a lot about that as a college coach and things like that, but also knowing that you don't know everything, what are you missing? And so things I'm learning, I'm really diving deep into all kinds of different voices as far as the economy goes, right? Because real estate, we're gonna have our own perspective.
Sure.
And you're gonna have a global, kind of a macro look at the economy. You're gonna have a state economy, things like that. So Gardner Institute up at the University of Utah is awesome about this, our local Utah economy.
Yeah.
And that's been fun to learn about just how diverse our state really is. Governor Cox came to a Realtor event just last month and was talking about the incredible amount of diversity Utah has. And I think that's why we've been put on the map as one of the top markets in the whole United States. It's been pretty cool. So learning about that, but also, again, sharpening skills. I was on another webinar yesterday with how to price homes. And tapping into the local appraisers and how they're valuing things. And so you really have this knowledge base of, because I feel like for the last couple of years especially, it was almost like pricing a home was like, okay, the bidding starts at, and ready, set, go.
That's not far from the truth. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
It almost didn't matter because it was the Wild West, where now, even especially as we're seeing a lot of price adjustments, if an agent doesn't have that skill set of really looking at the data and saying, here's not only where we've been, but here's where we're headed. That's the difference. Is I think where you see price adjustments across the board is people trying to play catch up rather than having the foresight to go. For example, June, we just came out last month. The data from last month said that was the slowest June in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
That's from the Salt Lake Board of Realtors as far as home sales go.
That makes me feel a little better because it was slow for me too.
Applications are probably down, right?
Right, yeah, that's exactly it.
So there is this big withdrawal with interest rates going up and housing prices staying high and stuff. And so even if you're looking at doing a market analysis, a house that sold 2 months ago or 3 months ago is a little bit better than a lot of appraisers will go back 6 months. It was a different market 6 months ago.
Yeah, totally.
That's put us back in January.
Yes.
Low inventory, about 1,900 active listings.
Still a 4% rate.
We're now at a 4% interest rate.
Yeah.
Now you're the interest guru right now. So where are we at today?
Yeah, mid-fives.
Mid-fives. And now we've got 8,500 active listings on the MLS versus 1,900. So it's different.
It's very different.
Even 90 days ago. So.
Well, so keep talking about the market, I guess. What are your, you got a crystal ball, right, in your pocket there? Yeah, that's what I saw you brought it with you. Talk to me about the forecast. Obviously, it is opinion and stuff like that, but what are you seeing? I mean, you're on the ground floor. You're seeing things and stuff like that. You've got, you mentioned the Gardner Institute. You obviously, so like, I think you're pretty knowledgeable in the industry and seeing different things. So
because of other experts.
And I'm the first to admit that's me too. I just listen to smart people.
Like you.
That's exactly it. I'm not
R&D
super smart.
doesn't mean research and development. It means rip off and duplicate.
There we go. That's exactly it. So if other people have thought of these things and they're analyzing the data,
right?
No, but what would you forecast? I guess as far as things go, where do you?
Boy, crystal ball's right. And I've talked to agents and brokers and lenders that have been in the business 20, 30 years plus. This is totally unique in a whole lot of ways. We haven't seen this, and so to try and predict where we're gonna be, all I can do is look at what the current state is. And so we've got a whole lot of listings right now. We've got higher interest rates, and it's all about perspective too. I feel like we're used to seeing a 2 or a 3 in front of that interest rate, and so people freak out. Where I'm like, man, we got a deal in 2006 with a 6.75% interest rate.
That was my that's exactly what I got. Actually,
so
same year.
So I'm like, sweet, this is awesome. And going back to that townhome that we bought was 225. So this is an example, and again, you're the expert on this, but our payment on that was roughly $1,600 a month for that 225 townhome at a 6% and 6.75% interest rate. Well, everyone's going, oh, wow, now that same townhome in Pleasant Grove is worth, instead of 225, it was 350 or 375 or something. It might be more now.
Yeah.
It probably is. And with a 3% interest rate, guess what my monthly payment was? About $1,600 a month.
Okay.
So the price went up,
but
the payment went down, and so now we're seeing, like I said, a bunch of price reductions, right? The interest rate's around 6%, 5.5%, 6%. So you can still kind of, it might be a wash if you look at it in some circumstances, not all.
Sure.
I know everything, the cost of living with everything has gone up.
Correct.
Financing anything, a vehicle or anything like that's gone up, and we're paying more for eggs and meat and things, but it's still a good time, I think, to buy. Just had my buddy that I told you for my mission just closed on his first home today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's been paying rent for 25 years.
Yeah.
Holy moly, 100% interest rate on rent, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100% of your money's going towards that
so
interest.
at least there's an asset that's there, and I think a balanced market is better than either way. Yeah. It's been a seller's market for a long time. We've been going 120 miles an hour in a 60.
Yeah.
And so now I think we're still, just depending on how you look at it or which snapshot you take of the numbers, maybe we're at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's still a good
fast.
time.
It's still good.
It's still fast. It's still, things are going, if you price it correctly, and different price points are going to be more popular, of course, but if interest rates continue to rise and home prices now, instead of 20 or 30% each year, go up, and they go to more of a normal pace, like 4% or 5% a year, then it's still going to grow. But as interest rates go up, so I think there's still a good sweet spot and good opportunity right now, if it works for your family, to go ahead and buy or sell. You'll still get a lot. Most people have, I think this last statistic I saw for our state was that most people in Utah have like 63% equity.
Wow. Yeah.
That was from CoreLogic.
It's a lot of money.
So
tied up
it's
in
a lot of
home.
money.
Yeah.
So if you do need to sell and it's right for your individual circumstance, you can still walk away with quite a bit, and now you can kind of turn around and make that work for you just as much. Yeah, sure. You won't have the same interest rate that you probably refinanced like everybody else did last year.
Yep.
But you've got more buying power a little bit with the prices that are softening a bit.
No, I agree with that, and that's I think there is that shock right now with interest rates and home prices and stuff like that, but it does seem to be,
a good word. Yeah.
Changing a little bit. I think, that we're readapting, and people are like, okay, I still want to buy a house. I just have to, the shock factor of knowing that now my payment's $3,000 as opposed to, $2,000, right?
Yep.
It's gone up quite a bit or whatever. But
for sure.
Talk about real estate as an investment. Do you like real estate as an investment? What are your thoughts on investing in real estate and stuff?
So, I'm going to bring up a sore spot for a lot of people.
Let's hear it.
Crypto,
yes, okay.
Oof.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and that's kind of been my, like, not, again, if you're into that, that's great, and probably a moderation and a diversification, like people say, is good. But something that can just be like, I just heard of another one that just went under.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you can't access your account.
Yeah.
Done. Where a true asset, like a home, is something that we hear all the time. Hedges against inflation. Is a good way to protect your money. I know in my own family, we're being more aggressive rather than, at this particular moment, rather than taking money and investing in stocks and things like that, we're being more aggressive in paying down our mortgage and putting down more principal.
Okay. Yep.
And so that's where our money is going to be best used at this point. And so putting that into something that is our home, that has the walls and the roof over my family's head,
right?
Yeah, that's where I'm like, yes, I'll put money in there versus any other. I'm not a financial, expert or guru by any means, but that's what I'm seeing with my own personal perspective in the real estate market. So I still think it's a good time to do that.
And well, yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, crypto's obviously probably the best example of something that's, instant millionaire and instant bankruptcy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, the opposite, right?
Yeah.
It's just so quick, so Which, a lot of people like, hey, sweet, I'm making all this money.
And that's why I'm not bashing it one bit, but that was just an example that I saw, like, man, if I was in that position, how would I feel versus something where even if it's a steady growth of 4 or 5% a year, that's better than any savings account that I can think of too. Yeah. And if you can get lucky enough to cash flow by buying investment properties and things like that, for so long, we've just been looking for properties with my clients that are breaking even.
Sure.
So, essentially they have someone going to the bank and paying their mortgage for them every month.
Yeah.
Maybe now with that you can buy a little bit lower and still rents are still going up.
Yeah.
And Lehigh, I think there was just an article about that, how right around that area is like the highest rent in all of Utah.
Yeah.
And still rising. And so if you can get something there, maybe that's a good investment.
Well, no, I like that. I always, my tag or my thing with real estate, I guess, is real estate's a get rich slowly, not get rich quick.
Like that.
Right? I mean, it does take place, but over time, right? Which I think is more sustainable, right? The benefit of get rich slowly is it doesn't just evaporate in the night either, right? So, but
that's with the real estate market, it's rarely a bad thing if you're going to buy and hold.
Yeah.
If you're going to have long term, you can ride out almost anything.
That's correct. Yeah, no, agreed. What about talking about traditional rentals versus nightly rentals? Obviously, nightly rentals have kind of become a little bit of a thing. You got Airbnb, Verbo, stuff like that, right? What what are your thoughts on that? And any advice on, I guess so. Well, that's one question, and then I'll...
Sure, yeah. So I think in southern Utah, we've got a huge amount of nightly rentals.
Yeah.
That was something that Governor Cox actually addressed.
Oh, he did?
He said at the time when he met with us, we were about 45,000 units short based on the current population of Utah and households and things like that. So 45,000 homes short. 20,000 homes that were being built, especially in southern Utah, were Airbnbs, nightly rentals. Not to use the brand name or whatever, but
sure.
So he said effectively we're still kind of shooting ourselves in the foot because we're building hotels.
Yeah, sure.
It's still not solving that problem of dwellings.
Yeah, people place
for families
permanently live, right?
or for individuals. So
yeah.
So that's an interesting thing, and it would be I don't know where that's going to lead, and how that's going to continue to impact, but based on that perspective from Governor Cox, we're still going to be in a shortage for quite a while.
Sure.
As far as the demand and supply, and again with our diverse economy, I thought of also as people were saying, hey, the market's going to shift, the market's got to turn, as we were going these 20 and 30% year-over-year increases. My thought was maybe it's correcting in the way that most of the country has been viewing Utah as 1980s Utah.
Sure.
Mostly rural.
Yeah.
Not very diverse, and the correction has been the values catching up to where they should have been, and that's been the accelerated demand. Is like, whoa, Utah is really awesome.
Yeah,
we've got all these businesses, we've got this not only diversity of culture, more diverse than ever before, but a diversity of outdoor activities and landscapes and
different industries. It's not Geneva Steel is running the valley.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. We have lots of, even Adobe,
Silicon
big company, right? We have all these companies,
And with those come barbers, grocery stores, everything else
the other
that
stuff
kind
that
of
feeds
supporting things. And so, man, what a cool place to be. That's awesome. And so I don't know that demand goes down anytime soon. And if the supply, I think we're just on, at least in my perspective, again, I don't know if this is just a pause.
Sure.
It feels like a pause.
Sure.
Because that shock, that word you use, the shock is like, whoa, we're used to this. But as soon as the perspective readjusts and goes, yeah, there's still that demand, there's still this shortage, interest rates, we're going to see people kind of jumping back in.
Still want to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
I still need a house.
People need to live somewhere.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not a. This is not a boat, right? This is not a luxury item. That's like, it's a house. I want to live somewhere.
Exactly.
Well, okay. So you obviously. So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about new agents. We'll say advice, and I'm going to give you a couple different people to give advice to. So you get to put your cap on there. But what advice do you have for like new agents and stuff like that? anybody entering the, hey, I'm just starting real estate. Now seems like a good time. But what advice would you give new agents?
I think if you're coming into it with a career-minded perspective,
Okay.
that you'll find success.
Okay.
There are a lot of agents that come in, and the last statistic that I heard was that only 5% renew after their first 18 months when they get their license.
Wow, that's not much.
Not much at all.
No.
95% quit after the first year and a half.
Wow.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? But I think one of the main reasons is that they're not looking at it as a career.
Sure.
And, it's something to dabble in. It's a side hustle and things like that. And so career-minded agents are going to have a little bit different, like I did, where I'm like, if I'm not successful, my family doesn't eat.
Yeah.
So I better go.
Yeah.
I better hustle. I
Get
better
out there and work.
Call everybody I know
Yeah.
and beg and plead and,
Which I think,
and educate myself.
yeah, the way you entered the market, talking to all your friends and stuff like that you knew in volleyball and stuff. I think that's smart. That's
Thanks.
what we typically recommend, on the loan officer side, right? Hey, tell your friends what you do, right?
Yeah.
Because people tend to want to work with people they know and like
Yep.
versus somebody they don't know. So
Right.
that's your first area, right?
Yep.
And you can get those people, and then obviously branch out from there.
Yeah, so if new agents have that perspective, then I think the other things follow, where they're gonna work on their sphere, they're gonna work on their knowledge, because they're gonna be able to show and articulate their value
Yeah.
to those people that already know them. And the idea is that you don't have to compete,
Yeah.
because you're the expert and you're the one that's top of mind.
Right.
So
What about home buyers? Any advice for home buyers right now?
I think, again, you've got to look at your personal situation. I'm not going to say it's great, it's perfect for everybody. If you're
Sure.
transient and you're in a stage of life where things are kind of up in the air, then maybe it's not the right time to buy. But like we said, if you're going to stay, I can't remember what the average is, but 5 to 7 years at least.
Yeah. That's still good.
It's better, yeah. And I know that even if interest rates are high now, if they come back down, there's always this idea that we could refinance. My advice would be, make sure you're comfortable with where they are at now. Then if the rates continue to go down, which we hope they do,
Yeah.
or at least a little bit,
Yeah.
and you can refinance, that's gravy.
Yeah.
That's the cherry
But
on
you
top.
already
And you
planned
can,
on-
but you're comfortable with where you're at. Do it the most that you can afford, and the best that you can get. But yeah, boy, I just, like we said before, rent is unless there's a few circumstances in your situation where it makes the most sense for now, but long term, owning a home is just awesome.
What about advice for sellers or people looking to do that?
Sellers, I think you're still in a great spot, and I hope that with any agent that you meet with, that as long as they are doing their research and advising the way that they should, be open. I know your neighbor sold 3 months ago for X, and that's great, but the market has changed. And so in order, again, to stay where you're not, and again, there's all kinds of circumstances where you need to sell quickly, or we're not so, in a time crunch, but listen to your trusted advisors and make sure that they're doing their homework and can kind of show you why they're at the numbers
Sure.
that they came to.
Yeah.
I love to educate my clients so that they can make the best decisions. Ultimately, it's their decision, and I'm there to help advise, represent, protect them. And so I've got to give them the best knowledge base that they can to make those informed decisions.
Switching gears again here, I guess, a little bit. You personally, what inspires you? What gets you up in the morning with real estate? I mean, and well, I'll say for real estate,
For real estate.
Yeah, because you might say, hey, being a good husband, So
Right. All the cliche things, which are true.
That's
but-
right. I agree. No, that's true. And if your wife's listening, he wanted
Love
to
you.
say that. I'm
Love
sure.
you every day. As far as real estate, so I'm in a couple different modes right now, and I think I can do both well. Is obviously staying busy to help, again, people take advantage of the equity.
Yeah.
People get into homes that maybe they need to upgrade, downgrade, whatever, or buy for the first time. Awesome. Like that's what, again, going back to that coaching thing,
Yeah.
buying or selling, we sit down and we make a game plan. Here's the goal.
Yeah.
Here's how we're going to do it. By the way, this is the rest of the team. We've got an awesome lender. We've got title people. We've got home inspectors. We've got insurance people, and we're all going to work together for the same goal.
Yeah.
So here's the plan. And if we hit some road bumps along the way, we're going to adjust. We're going to call timeout. Change our strategy, our game plan. And so that really is fun for me. It really is. And I actually don't mind when things come up and we can go, okay, let's look at this creatively and solve this problem.
Yeah.
My dad was an engineer.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I get that from him too, where it's like, hey, let's fix it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what's really, really fun. And then the other component that I'm trying to do right now is, like we said, with attracting agents that are career-minded, that fit personality-wise, and helping them succeed as well. And so that's the other thing, like, hey, here's the goal.
Yeah.
You have a family to support. You have, goals in your life financially and things like that. And that's one of the reasons for both aspects that I named my brokerage Legacy Group. Because what we're building as individuals with our finances and things like that, we leave a legacy, and with business owners, we're building that legacy again for our families or ourselves. And what am I going to do with that? What am I going to be known for? How am I going to pass this along so that it stands? And so, as corny as that might sound, it really is something that was part of what went into building this business and again helping agents like build their legacy. So it's been good.
I like that. Any favorite stories? From you've been in this industry a while. Any like cool things stand out? I guess
So
either funny or nerve-wracking.
I was thinking about that, and so you gave me a heads up on that, and of course, like, you're gonna get like paralyzation, like, nothing ever happened, and then I'll think of 20 things as soon as I leave. I promise.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate the little heads up, but a couple funny things, like when I first started. So I'm 6'3".
Okay.
My very first listing, I put the key box on the light fixture by the front door.
Okay.
The very first showing was an agent that was 5'3".
Oh no.
With clients that were about the same height. She called me and she was so mad.
Sure.
What are you thinking? The cell phone? I was so embarrassed, and I just went down there and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I didn't even think about it.
My client had to give me a boost and stuff, and I could only picture like these group of people on somebody's doorstep hitting the thing and trying to get this key out, and who knows what had to happen to get it back in. And I'm just going, I'm so sorry. So from now on, key box is low. Everyone
didn't make that mistake again.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. I'm just like, here's a good spot. So there was that.
It's fine. Yeah.
Scary things, and I know this hasn't happened for a few years, but I was looking when I first got in at a foreclosure.
Okay.
Down in South Utah County, and we went in the basement, and I was with an investor, and he's trying to pick this up as a rental, and there were obvious squatters there, graffiti on the walls, things like that, stuff here and there.
Okay.
We went into the basement. There's this concrete room. There's a door with a padlock on the outside, but it wasn't locked. There was no lock on it. It just had one of those like metal latches that goes over the thing.
Okay, so it wasn't okay.
So we open this, and it's another concrete room, dark, and there's a board on the floor.
Okay.
So we've got our flashlights. There's no electricity. We've got our phone flashlights. As soon as I walked in that room, the hair on the back of my neck stood up.
Oh no.
I looked at him and I was like, do we lift up that thing? And he's like, yeah, we should try it. I'm like, well, I don't want to look like a wuss.
Sure.
So I'm the one sitting there. He's standing back at the doorway, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going into this room. Yeah, he didn't even come in.
Yeah, we should open it. I'll
Right.
stand over here.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, why is this room? And then there's a padlock on the outside. What does that do? And then there's this thing. And all I saw, I wish I had a better ending to the story, but I lifted it up and all I saw was a deeper hole. I didn't look in it, but there was no way because the hair on my neck was already standing up. Like I'm just like,
not right.
There's a spider tingle that's going on, and I'm just like, we're out here. And so we took off, and so just stuff like, I mean, that was one of the scary things, but I have a
Did he end up buying that house?
No.
Okay.
Nope, we just got this bad, sick feeling
Too
that
many
it was just
problems
like,
with
nope, he's like, if there's anything, I was just gonna bulldoze it down and start from scratch.
Sure.
And we didn't know what was going on, but you run into all kinds of things and meet all kinds of people, and it's just fun. It's just all of it's experience, all of it's good, and as hard as you work, that's the difference between making that transition from coaching as a profession to this. As hard as I work, I'm always in my own bed every night.
Good. Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I like that. Well, Justin, I've appreciated having you on here. Good to get to know you a little bit, you know, and hear your forecast and different things like that. Good advice here. Where can people find you and stuff like that? Start working with you if they wanted to work with you and stuff.
Boy, I would love that. So first, can I put in a plug?
Yeah, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, July 19th, we have our very first Legacy Group Real Estate Client Appreciation Party.
Nice. Okay. What are you guys doing?
So we're going to have a barbecue.
Okay.
We're going to have live music by one of my clients, Phil Anke.
Okay.
So he's kind of a Dave Matthews, Jack Johnson style. He's awesome.
Okay.
We're going to have a couple different sponsors, home warranty, tons of raffles, giveaways, cornhole, volleyball, stuff like that. It's at the Costco Park in Spanish Fork.
Okay.
Everyone knows it as the Costco Park, but
sure. Yeah.
6 to 8 p.m. And all I would ask is if you go on any of my social media, so at Hutch Sells Homes, like Hutchins, or at Legacy Group Utah. Legacy Group. Yep, that's my. Maybe search us.
Pretty 99% sure.
99.1%. Anyway, you can look that up on social media, Justin Hutchins on Facebook. But you can register for that. Literally, come one, come all.
Perfect.
We just need to know what to plan for because we're going to have the barbecue catered.
Gotcha. So you want to have enough food.
So I don't want to burn everything. I would probably do that.
And that's July 19th, which is a
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
Random, kind of in the middle of the week, but we thought, hey, if you can get away and not have to cook dinner, come down for a fun time. But other than that, I just gave up all my social media stuff. www.legacyrealestateutah.com or hutchsellshomes.net, like volleyball net.
Nice. I like it. Good correlation there. I like it.
I do what I can.
Well, hey, I'm not one to talk. Work hard, work harding,
I love it. Play on words.
The play harding is the nightly rentals, so I get to have fun with that. So
very cool.
Anyhow, well, Justin, thanks for being on the show, and thanks everybody for listening. Like us, subscribe, write us a review, all those things. We'd love to hear from you. And if you know somebody that's looking to be on the show, reach out to us too. Obviously, we're looking for,
better people than me.
Good, as good, and I'm not sure it could be better. So anyhow, thanks guys, appreciate it. Bye bye.